Hey, what's up? Hey, Canessa, I'll paste the link here in the chat if you guys all want to join us. And we're over here at Decentraland Community Building headquarters, and come join us. And Canessa, are you here?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes. She is our wonderful tour guide of the day. Thank you so much. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, thank you. My land, I like to think that it loves visitors because it it was alone for a long time, many years. And so now that it has people coming on it, I don't know. I was just like, maybe I personify it way too much, but glad to have you guys here. And when you get on parcel, just come in the long corridor and start exploring.
Cool. I will follow you in there. Woohoo! Yeah, to start out, what I love to ask is a little bit about your own journey into Decentraland and share with the community what that has been like. That has led to this is your build, your creation, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Woohoo!
My land, my build. I started, learned about crypto in 2017, and then bought Bitcoin. Couldn't stand the losses, so I sold it. But then I was still curious, so I came back in, and I was trying to find altcoins, just different projects. I was going through all of them, and I couldn't understand 99% of them. Like, I don't know what this does. I don't know what this does. But then I saw like this one that was like a decentralized virtual reality world, and my brain was like, yeah, I understand that. And so Mana was the first coin that I ever bought, other than Bitcoin, back in 2018. And then just kind of, casually monitored it. And then the land creator contest in March of 2019 came through, and that kind of hooked me. I like made my first scene, and I was like, this is so cool. I can like make whatever I want. And so I submitted a bunch of scenes to that, and I was one of the winners, and which was pretty cool. And that kind of solidified, like, all right, I'm going to do this a little bit more. And so I bought this estate in April of 2019, and then started adding to it. And at one point I had 18 parcels here because I wanted to build high. My idea was to build like a steampunk airship port in the sky, like way up high. So I bought everything I could around it. And then continued to build. I bought some other parcels on the map because I wanted to make like a airship company that you could get on an airship like in East Decentraland and go on a 5-minute tour above Decentraland, like looking at all these beautiful parcels, and then get off at my station. I had land up above, like on the north part of the map, and then you could do the same thing, come down to this one, and this would be the headquarters. And then, I took a little bit of time away from Decentraland. I was here for some of the bigger events, but didn't get really active until, November of 2021, came back. I had like all my land for sale in the summer of 21, but luckily nobody bought it, so I'm still here. And then I started building, and I've always wanted to learn Blender. The complications of the SDK were always like, I just figured, I can't build anything other than the builder tool. And so then, around this, like Christmas this year, I just decided I was going to learn Blender, and I would challenge myself to learn one new thing a day. And then I'd write it down to keep myself accountable. And then this is what I built. So a lot of good people that helped me, KJ Walker, her tutorials, Nikki Flago, Odd Job, the FAFO sessions in the CBD Discord, the Community Building Decentraland Discord, are really good because you can just go there and listen and bring your questions. And here we are today, and you guys are in my land, and I'm so appreciative and honored that you're here.
No, I love that. I had no idea you started out first with Builder and then learned Blender. I thought it was the other way. I figured it was like, oh, she's a 3D, game designer from the beginning, and then that's so cool that then you just started your journey to building with. I love that. I did the same when I was starting. It's like each day it would be like, okay, I'm just gonna dive in there, one new thing each day, because it's basically Blender's like 10 different softwares in one. When you start opening up the tabs, you're like, oh my gosh, what does this thing do?
Yeah,
Hey,
I mean, it's
Canessa.
overwhelming to start. And so like, start with the donut tutorials that like, in my opinion, are just way too much information
Yes.
for like a new user to try to take in at once. And so having just a little bit is helpful. I co-host the Community Building Decentraland Twitter Spaces with Sinful Meat Stick over there. And so I tried to change up the scene so that we're kind of at a new place all the time. And I think it's a way to show people in the community like what you can build, whether it's Blender or the Builder. Like, I actually think it's really cool to build in the Builder tool and try to push the limits to show people that don't have the technical skills that like you can still do a lot. Like, you might not be doing, I don't know, like you might not be where you want to be today, but don't give up. Just keep going.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And so there's a lot of,
Oh, go ahead.
go
Sorry.
ahead.
No, it just cut out. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say there's a lot of, I always try to put little rewards in my builds for exploring. So like secret places that if you explore, you might get rewarded. Or like I said yesterday, I think like you might also find like signs that say, what are you doing back here? You're not supposed to be here. So there are like, if you look, you can get all the way up above on this. I also think it's really cool to access everything and being way up high on Decentraland is the best. And so, so I can show you the secret route up there and then let you guys see if you do it without falling down.
We'll follow you. Where are you at? Oh, there you are. Okay, cool.
The steps kind of hide, so I made like the bottom let them glow. So from up here, you can either walk to the left or to the right and get into some of the hamster tube areas, as I call them. But if you jump over here, this is a hidden walkway that I would just say start exploring this way and just keep going up. See it.
I was here yesterday, did not see this. That's why I'm glad.
So when Sinful and I are doing our spaces, and I always try to make cool different builds. It's really hard for me to multitask. Like if I get kicked out, like if I have to reboot, like I can't do parkour and talk on a Twitter space at the same time. So I always say like I always have a cheat, like a way to get up to.
I think you made it for
I have
me.
a way to get up.
Because I can't parkour even if I focus. So like.
yeah. So there will always be some invisible walkway that.
The
one day it wasn't working, and I'm like, I can't get into my own build, or it was just. I had a maze a couple of weeks ago, and I got lost in the maze. I'm like, I built this, and I don't even know where.
But I love that too. The fact that you're building something you also get to enjoy and experience, get lost in. That's awesome. It's beautiful from up here. I'm curious about your design process. I know you said you started Builder and then you went to Blender. Like, do you like to sketch things out first, or you just go into Blender, start throwing things together? Do you go make mood boards? Like, what do you like to do?
Oh yeah. Well, all of my original ideas for my steampunk, airship station in the sky, I have really, I think they're really cool, illustrations. So because back then we couldn't walk in the world, we couldn't see it. You buying land without being able to see what it was going to look like probably was not the best decision of my life. That's probably questionable. But now I can just kind of rough it out. But I do, I think it's best to not really know what you're going to build and just start creating stuff, because most of the stuff I've done have just been accidents, like patterns that I really like, or just use of textures and materials that I didn't even know you could do. It's just I don't know. I learn a lot from just mistakes. But sometimes I have an idea in my head. I hate to say that AI is really good for giving you ideas, or what does a cyberpunk world look like, since I like having worlds that we don't have a reference of what does a cyberpunk world look like, or what does a steampunk world look like. Nobody can tell you made it wrong, because nobody knows. They don't exist. So you just have a lot more room to play there.
So you were saying also when you do your Twitter spaces, you guys are often in here as well, or what kind of events do you guys host here?
This is just really just our Twitter spaces. This is my private land. use it for the CBD, but otherwise I'll put my builds in there. But usually I like to think of the land as like my canvas.
Awesome.
Where I'm, I think I'm coming at it from a different angle of like when I bought it, I never bought it to get money back from it. It wasn't an investment that I thought, oh, I'll build a play to earn game and make my money back. Like they didn't even have that back then. Like I bought it just because I believed in like the creative outlet of what it could be. And so to me, that's still kind of what it is. So sometimes if you come across my land, you'll find really random stuff and it'll be like, I don't know, what is this? Like, yeah.
I love it. So how many different builds have you done for this? Have you kept track, or do you just constantly keep updating it?
I'm always updating, but they're saved in your builder, the scene builder. And so I probably have like 30 builds,
Awesome.
And some of them are old and, like when we started in Decentraland, you couldn't resize stuff in the builder. So a lot of times they're like maxed out on the triangle limitations, and now you can just resize them. So instead of using, 50 panels, you can do the same thing with one. So, the builder has changed over time. And I think that the way that people build has changed over time. But I've got some ones that I really like that are winter themed. And so I don't usually deploy those. This one I've made for a different project that I'm working on that I think that I've just been working on in the shadows. And now slowly, I think it's going to be harder to keep it in the shadows, but that's okay.
No,
Eventually I will bring it into the sunlight.
I love the color schemes on this. And I'm curious also about, like, you're talking about your spaces. Like, how did you first connect with, I guess, the Decentraland Community Building, CBD, Twitter Spaces, Sinful? Was it you guys met through how? How did those connections start?
Well, I started by ghosting him many times because I'm a serial ghoster. And so he was like, do you want, like, you should do a Twitter space. And then like, silence for like, so bad. Silence for like many weeks. And then I'm like, yeah, we should do that. So it was all Sinful that I think at first when he said we should do a Twitter space, I'm like, no, I can't do that. I can't talk in front of people. And I remember somehow like Dino got me to talk in a space and my hands are sweaty and I'm like, no, I can't. Oh my gosh. I'm very introverted, but so then Sinful and I decided, it was around the time that there were a couple really divisive proposals in the DAO and the community. It just felt really like disjointed and not broken, but just a lot of like anxiety or angst. And so we were like, we talk about the good things that we've got going towards us. Like all we were talking about is how the DAO is not working and Decentraland is not working. So I think that was kind of how we started. And we really just thought there would be two people. We just thought we would talk to each other if nobody showed up. And people showed up. And the second week, like Esteban showed up, Toon Punk showed up. And then we're like, wow, this is crazy.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then from that first space, we started like a group chat. And then from that, it got too big. So we said, maybe we'll start a server. And that's how CBD, Community Building Decentraland, started out of that. So yeah, it's next week is our 1 year anniversary. So it's pretty crazy.
Oh, awesome. Are you guys doing any? That's so, are you guys going to do any? Okay, I figured. I'm like, you got to share.
Yeah, we are. So in the Community Building Decentraland Discord, there's a channel for anybody that has wanted to participate or, contribute. They can. There's some people working on some cool wearable dispensers.
Cool.
Yeah, but everything is grassroots. It's, nobody's getting paid. Nobody's doing it. It's just all of us deciding, like, people put in however much work they can do or not do. And yeah, if anybody's not a part of the CBD Discord, I highly recommend it. I think when we started, we just wanted to connect, like I had land to build on. There were people looking for land. And so connecting people like, musicians with venues, landowners with builders. It feels like if we could connect them, we could move more efficiently and get, push the platform forward faster, I guess. And it's cool. We've got over 400 members, so it's come a long way.
Yeah, I love going there whenever I can and seeing everything that's being done and the FAFOs for sure, and love, I've only been able to hop in, but like I really want to go check those out more and start diving in. I've just been like parts of different grants where I was a builder, but it was somebody else deploying it, but I really want to like dive into the SDK 7 and start building out. I only have worlds, but it's still going to be really fun to deploy and experiment in there. And that's so cool that you have. You said how many space plots do you have here now? You have 18 still, or?
I had 18. I reduced it down to 9 because you can't build on an irregular size parcel on the builder. And so I was like, I
Oh,
can't
okay.
even build here. So I sold a bunch, but I have, I'm not sure how much I have. I think I have other places on the map. Let's just say that. They're like, land is like Pringles. You can't just have one. You got to just keep. So if anybody wants to just deploy to like, I mean, that's kind of another way that this started is people were buying single parcels of land and they wanted to build on it. And then they buy it and realize, oh my gosh, I can't build on this. Like I just hit my 10,000 triangle limitation. And so for anybody that's not familiar with building, there's limitations on how many materials you can put on, and you will come to hate triangles like with a mad passion. Back in 2019, I was building a scene. I was building a scene for Rob L in District X because he put a call out for anybody that wanted to build, and I made like an Excel spreadsheet of every single asset in the builder and the triangle limitations, so I could
Oh
just look at it
man.
because like you can look at a rock and this rock will look identical, but the way that it was made, the triangles are, night and day. Like one is 1,000 triangles, one is 5,000 triangles. And
Yeah.
you couldn't resize it back then. So, but yeah, like my offer stands now as it did back when CBD started. If you want to deploy on land, let me know. If you have one or two parcel, I can put a 1 parcel, I could put a 2 parcel, or I could put a 9. If you wanted to build on a 9 piece, I could deploy it here. Back in the Metaverse Music Festival, I split this land up into 9 different, I took it away from being an estate to 9 single parcels. And then I let, I think 10 different brands from the community deploy here. So like ABC, Decentraland had a build, True Band Room, Rooston, Vox Boards. So it's kind of like a sampler platter of Decentraland with the hopes that like new users would come in and see that and kind of see a little bit of what we were about. So that was
Yeah.
pretty cool. That's another way to do it. Have a block party.
No, I love that. I remember seeing that and I was like, that is so cool. I wasn't sure how you had worked it out, but that's wonderful. So did people come to you and just on CBD Discord, they can reach out to you and if they have ideas, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully everybody feels comfortable hitting me up. But like I said, if I'm a ghoster and I don't get back to you, just bug me. It's not personal. It's a very toxic trait. I've also ghosted a lot of like, bigger brands that I probably should have checked my email. Anyway, yeah, hit me up on CBD Discord, and you can just keep pinging me until I respond. But otherwise, reach out. I mean, I think now it's a little easier to get land because you can rent it for, a mana a day. So like for 7 mana, you could have a parcel for a week. But I really think when people are looking to buy land, try it out first. I mean, see if
Yeah.
if you can even build what you want to build, because that's the worst thing is, I mean, that kind of happened to me. I bought my land and then I realized, oh, I can't really build what I want to build. And then in time, my abilities caught up with the amount of land and what I wanted to do on it. But yeah, there's plenty of people that have land to share. And like one of my parcels has a group from Lebanon right now that have a art gallery from like artists that can't share their art in their home country. And so, even if there's brands that want activations and they don't have the funds maybe to rent it for a couple months, yeah, I'm happy to help out.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. I remember last night during the spaces, which I give you guys gold stars for, like, you say they normally run 5 hours. I don't know how you guys do it. Oh my God. I feel like such a wuss.
When you love Decentraland, time is but a number.
I know, no, it's true. Like time disappears in Decentraland. I understand that. And
Yeah.
one of the things you guys talked
Actually,
about. Oh, go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
No, go.
I was going to say our blood sugar, that's kind of what stops us is when we're ready to pass out because we haven't eaten all day. That's usually what.
Or don't go on there
What were
like
you
I
going to
did.
say?
I was caffeinated. No, I have a bunch of notes that I took from last night of things that were discussed that were really cool. And one of the things I think you guys were kind of talking about is well, a couple things, but one of them was like, I would love to hear your thoughts about, like, we were talking about how so many, a lot of land is not being built upon, and how we can like figure out more ways. We always talk about onboarding, that kind of stuff, but how can it ignite landowners to build, collaborate? And I love how you have this collaborative, you allow people to deploy, build. I mean, it's such a wonderful way to get this fresh new energy all the time. And what kind of things do you think about when you want to like ignite other landowners to get that, like, let's build, let's do something? What are some tips you
Well,
would have?
and that was kind of what like started driving me, like the frustration with the empty land and like, why aren't people building? And then I'm like, you know what? Like, shut up, Canessa. Why aren't you getting people on your land? Like, it begins with me. Like, why should I
Yeah.
expect anyone to do anything that I don't first do? So I figured, you know what? I'm not a whale. I don't have. I mean, I am by many standards. I know I'm blessed with being early to the project, but I don't have like hundreds of plots of land. But I was hoping that if bigger whales could see somebody with this much land trying, like harassing people to put their builds on it. For a while, I'm like, do you need land? Do you need land? Really? I think you do. And I mean, it begins with us. Like you can only control what is in your little window and circle of control. So I figured I'm not going to worry about what the big whales do. I'm going to do what I can do. And it's been awesome. At one point I had like 13 parcels and they were all being built out. Like they were all actively built on and none of them were my own build. Which was really cool. Like Dice Masters, if anybody remembers the first Dice Masters build, their first home was right here. And so it was pretty funny to come by and there's like chickens all over my land. And I'm like,
That's
you guys
awesome.
better pick up the chicken feathers when you leave.
That would be so
And
cool
then,
if they dropped chicken feathers. Like, that'd be awesome.
yeah. Well, it was cool because then you see something being built all the time. And then right after that was Rustan. He deployed the Cove to this land, and he had one parcel at the time, and he couldn't deploy something big enough, and Worlds wasn't an option, and so he was glad to have more land to work with. So I think now it's just a different landscape. We have Worlds we can deploy to. We have easier land rentals. So even to think about like that was 1 year ago, like how much easier it is to access land now, like. I really don't think that access to land should be, too much of a barrier if people, if they're in the DAO and they're writing DAO proposals to get land, we were talking about yesterday, like one of the reasons that is something that I think some of us don't support is that then you could just turn around and sell that land and there'd be really nothing to stop you from that. So, if people are wanting to have a project and put their project on land, for an example, I just think there's so many people that are ready to help that shouldn't be the thing holding people back anymore. It should be like talented builders or coders or things like that.
Yeah, I love how, I mean, for me, it's like if I were like a new builder coming in, it'd be cool to, rent land or Worlds, but also I think what you're providing for people is that community building aspect. That's really cool. Like I'd want to like kind of like build with a pre-existing community where I felt supported, where I felt welcome, where, like you're saying, you feel like, okay, I'm going to experiment, and if I have any issues, like, CBD does, you guys would always be there to support, which I think is a really cool way to onboard new people into new builders, especially.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about like.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say we need Worlds for doing cool stuff like cool project together. We can have several scenes within a single world, so we could have like a world dedicated for a set of things and having multiple people deployed to it, like having many cities. districts of the world. That would be very cool.
Yeah. Is there a way to delegate names? Like I would delegate every one of my names.
I just posted that in the chat. It's
cool.
possible.
Oh, that's what I thought you were talking about. That's so cool. I didn't know that.
That's
you can also run some world or deploy your own world server, and so you don't even need names to deploy.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
That's very cool. You're gonna have to host a session for us, HP. Just showing off your mad skills. Like, oh man. Yeah, and another thing you guys were talking about was really cool was like how like for me it's like the storytelling and what we're doing here. Like even having In World Meetups, our town halls, it's like us documenting what's actually happening in Decentraland. Because like if we don't do that, that's when you open it up for others to tell the story for us, which is what you see in YouTube now, like misinformation and inaccuracies and about what's really going on in Decentraland. So I really appreciate like all the work that you guys are doing and also a lot of the community members to like share their stories, do these spaces, do these builds, welcome the community, because if not, they're just going to take over the narrative, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I I can see how people say like, oh, it's such a low poly world. I mean, yeah, if you step right in and you just look at what is right in front of your eyes, your 2 feet, yeah, it's low poly. But there's just so much to the world. You can't judge it. It's kind of like judging people. Like you can't judge it on one experience or one parcel of land. And to be honest, if you don't like it, shut up and start building.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you heard my story of launch day, but I bought my land in April of 2019. So it was like 10 months before launch day. So like 10 months of not knowing what the world was going to be like. And on launch day, I was like so excited and came in and I was just like, I was almost sick. Like I was so sad. It was not the world I imagined. Like the sky kind of like bugged me because it was just pale blue. And it discouraged me. I was like, no. In my mind, it looked like Hyper-Fi, like perfect water and perfect avatar and this and that. And it was like December of 2021 or maybe like earlier last year. But I was rolling through Genesis Plaza and I saw like Shibu and Olavra and Nico. And like, so I always tell people, when you see the devs standing around, you stop because something's happening. Like they don't just all show up in World for no reason. And so I kind of started talking to Shibu and he's like, you're about to see the first sunrise ever in Decentraland. And so I'm sitting behind my computer, like sobbing and, new users are coming and going. They're like, whatever, there's a sun. And I'm like, no, this is, oh my gosh. Because the sky was what I thought I would see in 2020. Like, that's the sky I thought I would see. And it hit me that instead of like, I just walked away from it. Like, I didn't like what I saw, so I walked away. What I should have done is like rolled up my sleeves and started building. And I think that is like the way that we have to approach Decentraland, that if you don't like it, don't complain about it, change it. Like whether writing a DAO proposal and getting the people that have the talents to change it, or learning Blender, like putting in the work and changing it. And so, like this, I know the build we're in, it's not the most complicated. It is, not technical at all, but I'm so proud of it because it's a huge leap of where I began to like get to this point. And so I don't know. I'm huge in like personal growth and just not giving up, and I don't know, believing in yourself and believing in like the dream. I think the dream of what Decentraland could be is that's what I love. It's so much better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, I got sucked in day one when I first came. I went to like a conference and I couldn't hear anything, and somebody kindly was like, hey, I'm streaming on Twitch. And then I ended up becoming a curator and helped them for like a year. Like this world, like you never know what's going to happen. You have to start engaging, participating, building, learning. And like, that's why I'm still here, because I really, like you're saying, I'm a lover of learning. I think that's like an essential component of like, because there's so much cool shit and possibilities. And like I was telling you yesterday, I'm like this eternal dorky fangirl, and like get dorkier and more fannier as I go. That's even a term.
Yeah.
I think Faye was also, I was talking to her about it too. She said the same thing. It's just like, like the more you're here and you meet, creators like you, all the community members and people I've got to meet and interview, I'm just always blown away. And like, that's just,
Yeah.
it inspires me, like what you're saying, your journey. And like, I definitely am about to embark on like, okay, now with worlds, I can build and just, and it's fun, like what you're saying, like, and then I can't even imagine to the first time I'll have friends over at my world, like that's probably,
Oh gosh,
right?
yes. Yeah, it used to be really weird when people would show up because I was almost, it was like, it was mine like for so long. It was like private land. And so I remember Jim Cedric was the first person who showed up, and I was like freaked out. Like, how did you get here? Like, how did you know I was here? And I don't know. So it's almost like private land. Like I'm going to be that old lady with the hose someday, like with a fence around my land. And like, hippies, get out of my land.
Well,
No, I'm kidding. But
I love you totally should. That would be so cool to have like a part of your parcel where you have this old man like screaming at kids running
oh
by,
yeah,
get off my lawn, and there's like no lawn, and it's just like chases you, and if he catches you, it
yeah.
gives you like a funny wearable or some random thing. And that's the cool thing. That's the kind of shit
Oh
you can
yes,
make here, right? Like
yeah,
it's like you have a crazy idea and just, so
yeah. Well,
I
and I
love
think we always need to be open-minded about like what, like the evolution of your idea. Like obviously, I've never made my original plan has not come.
Hey, I'm in a meeting, okay?
I've never done it yet. Never made a steampunk world in the sky, but like I have friends on my land right now. I have red dots on my land, and that's so much better. And let's see, somebody was going to say something. I don't know who it was.
I think it was Sinful. It was going to say something earlier.
Well, I was gonna ask Canessa if she could talk about how she used to improvise with the builder. I do recall some some homemade propellers on her big airship.
Oh yes, yes. Oh gosh, yes. So that one, that's pretty special scene. It's I did try to make something cool in the sky with like steampunk themed. And so I was trying to figure out how can I make like an airship using the builder. And so I took like a little vase that is in the builder, and then I just made it giant and then rotated it. So that was the airship. And then I needed a propeller. And there's nothing that looks like a propeller in the builder. So I just took knives because I think like maybe the pirates have knives, and I just enlarged them and then made the propeller out of that. So
I love that.
Rustan was kind enough to like make them in Blender and animate them and make them rotate. But I was like, I'm not going to put these here. This Rustan guy, what if he's trying to hack me? I don't trust him. Yeah, I'm still on the fence about Rustan, but yeah.
That would be really fun for you to just go through like from you're saying you have like 30 different builds, like go from day one, all your journey to like what you see now, and be like, I love that. Yeah, no, I'm still waiting, like we were saying last night, waiting for that Ghost in the Machine, your programmed avatar to haunt the space.
Yeah, well, I will definitely, I will take this land with me. I will burn my seed phrase so that when I go, I shouldn't. I
have it buried with you. Okay, I see.
Yeah, seed phrase on the ledger, and maybe it gets cremated with me. But yeah, like I not to be morbid, but this is just so personal to me because, like I was trying to allude to, it takes a special kind of crazy to buy land that you can't walk on when you don't even understand it. Like even NFTs back then, they weren't like, they were crypto kitties, and that was it. And then, I mean, I didn't even call my land or like NFTs. It was like a non-fungible token. And there was, I don't know, like there was no Web3, like we weren't saying Web3, like it was just, I don't know, like, so just the landscape of crypto has changed so much since then. Yeah. And so yeah, I probably won't give details of like the money that I used to buy this, but it was not good financial advice. Don't do it.
I think we've all been there. We've all done things that were like, I don't have to tell anyone, do I? But I guess people, if they want, they could track my bad investments or
Oh my
what, I don't even know if they call them investments.
You just, don't bet the house, kids. Don't bet the house. Or if you do, just please sell at the top. So like I think that the people that bought back then, for whatever, they are different than the people that bought now. It was cheaper back then. So like the land auctions, everything, it was cheaper, but you had to be kind of crazy to think that this is going to be viable, that anybody's going to come. Like, who's going to come here? And now we see like people are building their brands, like the big brands are coming, and it's huge. Like the lunchbox I'm holding, shout out to the True Band Room. Everybody has to come on May 18th. They're doing the 1 day for mental health awareness. And so if anybody wants one of these lunchboxes, check out my tweets and I will send you one. But like, who would have thought that I'd be holding an MTV lunchbox on my land?
That's so cool. Yeah, that's the Twitter Spaces coming up. You should definitely have to join us if you can on Tuesday at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
They're going to be on there and welcoming everybody. Come on in, and hopefully it should be a really cool. Like, where is that that event's happening in? I know there's like a 24-hour, right, of musicians.
Oh, well, the easiest part, it's coordinates, I believe, 6969, because it's the true stage at the music festival. So
negative 6969.
Negative 69. Okay, negative 6969. A true 69er.
Don't go to the other one. Don't go to the other one. I can't tell you what you want.
No, love it. Yeah, one thing I think I was curious about, like, have you collaborated with, like, right now you're just mentioning them right now, but outside collaborations, like, what is your like approach to that? Because I'm always trying to figure out ways how to like collaborate more with, like, I used to work in STEM programs and teach in colleges, like how to onboard that community of people going through these programs where they're 3D modeling, they're doing technology, arts and media stuff, these Roblox kids, Minecrafters. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, before I came here, I was a special education teacher, taught high school special ed. And so I had a 3D printer in my room and taught modeling, taught VR, and a lot of things, because there were either two types of kids in my room: the kids that wanted to be there, and they usually were my more highly impacted students who maybe had intellectual disabilities. And then the kids that didn't want to be there. And they were the kids that knew that you don't want to be the one, you don't want to be seen in high school walking into the special ed classroom. Like, they were made fun of. They were ridiculed, harassed, everything. And I knew that I needed a carrot to dangle that made it good to come in my room. And so I got a 3D printer, and my kids started 3D printing. And then I had the gen ed kids coming in wondering, how do I get to go into your class? And one of my students was like, you can't, you're not special enough. And so I would say, find your own passion. And if your passion is 3D printing or, the metaverse, like, people are gonna follow your passion. And so if you want to make collaborations, like, I think most of us can smell when they got the job because it was a job and pays money, but they are clocking out at 3:00. And then they can tell the difference between the people that are up at 2:00 in the morning thinking, okay, if I use PLA filament, I can have more flexibility in my build, and I can, do this and that. And I think that, collaborations, they can be forced, or, man, the ones that are organic, that come together because they're just real, those are the ones that have legs, that can turn into, like, bigger things. And it was pretty cool. I can't dox myself, but it was like, I got some cool accolades for bringing technology, for believing that my students could learn, not just saying, oh, they have they're in special ed, so they can't learn tech. Like, forget that. My kids were teaching the tech teacher how to use a 3D printer because they knew more about it than they.
I love that.
I think collabing is good.
That is awesome. That's That's a wonderful story. Yeah, my son's on the spectrum. He's high functioning autism, so I have a lot of stories.
Yes.
But I'm always
Yes.
like, and when I worked in all these different schools and STEM programs, I always had, you have the full spectrum of learning, and even me, like everyone learns differently. That's like the magic, and like you're saying, collaborations happen the same way. And like used to always say that, like when I go in there, I was just teaching things that I thought were really cool. So I was like always like the crazy digital arts teacher, and like the same kind of thing that you're saying. Like people, like the teens especially that I worked with, would sniff you out like a dog. They knew if you're full of shit or you really loved it. And I was definitely like this
Oh
freaky
my
dork who
gosh.
loved it, like we're gonna make crazy
Yes.
furry creatures in Photoshop. Come join me, like. But
Yeah, I mean, high schoolers, they're a different breed, and like
oh hell yeah.
working every day with like 20 high school boys, like you got to be
Oh
on your
man.
feet, and some of them respected me, some of them didn't, but yeah, like I got crazy stories too, and
Oh, well, we'll have to talk another day. I would love to hear more about that. But that's
yeah,
where I learned so much, like when you're in I don't say it's the trenches, but it's like the most fun, creative, like working with middle school and high school kids. And like I worked at a teen art center for many years too. It's so much fun. Like I basically am 10. I've stayed there ever since. I'm not an adult. That's my secret. I'm really bad at
yeah. I
pretending
like
to
to
be an adult.
say, yeah, you have a choice. You don't have any choice whether you age, but you do have a choice whether you actually grow up. And I when I want to be a Disney animator when I grow up. So or Decentraland Avatar.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us here today. This has been such a blast, and I think the links were posted about the FAFO, and I think right now the next few ones or the next month or so will be focused around the mesh, right? Onboarding. But like
Yeah,
those are
yeah.
normally on Tuesday, Thursdays, right? After that it'll be back.
Yep, and I think the time has been pushed back a little bit later. It's like 9 o'clock my time on the West Coast, so I think noon is simple as that, right? Or if AJ or CK are here, I think noon is when we start.
The last one started noon Eastern, and I believe like from here until the CBD 1 year, we're working on like what 1 year party stuff, wearables and builds and whatever it may be. I don't have too much information about mesh, but yes, we will be kind of like active in CBD, actively helping new users, artists, or whoever comes in and wants to know more about the Decentraland.
Awesome. Woohoo. Well,
And I hope people are not intimidated by like for me, sometimes I'm intimidated to go to the voice chat. I'm like, oh, there's a big group of people. I don't belong there. So like if anybody's listening and they're like, I don't know, should I go? Like, do I belong? And I'll just tell you, you belong. Like if you've never been in before, please join us. We find people on Twitter, like especially Metaverse Fashion Week, there would be people kind of complaining that like, I can't get my wearable approved. And we're like, come to the CBD. And so, yeah, one of the people there, they brought their glasses in and got them fixed. And so I think just anybody, please feel comfortable coming in, and we're nice most of the time. And, like even if you're not able to come to a FAFO, 13, specimen 13 in the crowd, SRJH, CK, Sinful, I mean, they're in there like all the time. And so even if like sometimes you'll see just 13 hanging out, like one person, and really one person is all it takes. And so if you have a question, just pop in, and if they can't help you, they'll find somebody who can. So it's pretty cool. Like, I don't know, just as far as humans and humanity goes, the collaboration of the CBD it kind of what's the word? It reinstills my faith in humanity. Like everybody's so awesome and so willing to help. So thank you everybody that goes in there and helps out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it in there too. Well, I guess with that, I think we're gonna call it a wrap. And I'm again so grateful for all of you guys to come here and for all you're doing for the community. And looking forward to that party. And yeah, come join us on the Twitter Spaces on Tuesday for the Mental Health Day Action Twitter Spaces, and excited for that. But really, yeah, keep us posted about your party. I definitely want to not miss that so I can share it.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be, we're trying to decide on the date. We're next Wednesday would be the 1 year, but we're thinking maybe Saturday night would be better.
The 25th would be 1 year.
25th would be
Oh,
1
awesome.
year. Yeah.
Cool. 25th. I will mark it tentatively. I'll say Decentraland. I mean, I'm usually always on there anyway, so like it's just like, but sometimes you forget and you start wandering, and like I end up in weird places, and like I miss events because I'm just like walking. Sometimes it's just nice to just walk, click on a parcel that you've never been to, and just explore. I love doing that.
Yeah, you can find some cool stuff out there.
Well, thank you, and catch you guys next time, and super excited to get to learn more about you guys. Love you guys, and we'll definitely hang out more at the Twitter Spaces. Now that I know they go on for so long, I always thought they started early and ended, and I'm always in so many meetings, but now I know better.
Yeah, and it honestly is like, it's like hour 2 or hour 3 when the good ideas really start flowing, and usually then we're like tired and ready to quit, and we're like, okay, well, does anybody have anything else? And then that's when people come up and they talk for like 2 more hours.
You're like, we're about to close, and then 5 people come. You're like, guess we're not.
Yeah, but that's what it's about.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's when extra weird stuff can come up. Well, awesome.
Yeah.
And if there's any other questions or ideas, always feel free. Anybody here watching or listening, or you, Canessa, reach out. I'm hardly ever away from. I mean, I'm either in nature hugging trees, like Odd Job. I saw his video. I loved it. I was like, yes, I met another tree hugger. Or I'm in front of my computer. But
Yes.
awesome.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. I couldn't quite keep up with the chat, but I saw a couple things that, so thank you for your comments and for visiting and everything. I appreciate all of you guys so much.
Awesome. Bye, everyone. Have a great night.
Bye.